If you're not already familiar with this game, this is a massive cooperative narrative campaign game that focuses on narrative, exploration, and epic boss battles. But before I go and just jump into this one, I should warn you that this is going to be offering you a ton of content. It's going to have a lot of rules for you to sift through. It's not going to be a quick game to set up or tear down. It's also going to be a big time investment. I think this probably has at least 200 hours of gameplay just in the original game. And it's also going to be very, very expensive. But I do also want to say that Into the Unknown has done an amazing job delivering on what they have offered so far. This is a very ambitious project. People are giving it really great reviews. And also I'm just really impressed that they're able to do all that they did with the amount of miniatures, the amount of content, a super ambitious and dense narrative with a ton of different paths for you to explore, all tied in with the mechanisms required to make it a functioning game. And they're able to deliver on this through all the trouble that we had with shipping and manufacturing over the past couple of years is just super impressive, and they have 100% earned my respect. And I just want to say one thing to anyone who might be watching this from the Into the Unknown team. You guys are awesome. But in this game, players awake on a ship with no memory of how they got there. But the world they're waking up to is not a great one because it's on the verge of destruction as these giant primordial beasts are wreaking havoc on the lands. And these are some massively destructive beasts, and the threat that you pose to them as humans is basically nothing, so you need to get creative. Lucky for you, you have discovered some advanced technology, and it's this technology that you're going to be using to take control of some more simple-minded beasts known as Titans. The primordial beasts are still going to be a massive threat even for the Titans, which means that your Titans may not always survive. But lucky for you, there are many more scattered throughout the earth, and as you explore the world, you'll be discovering more Titans that you'll be able to recruit to your side, equipping them with your technology and taking control of them for the purpose of battle. Players are going to be starting the game out on a specific location tile, with each of these tiles having different directions that you can go to explore more of the world, as well as having a ton of different POIs that players can interact with in order to discover their secrets, uncover more of the narrative that the game has to offer, different paths that you might be able to go, as well as discovering more Titans with unique abilities that you can add to your arsenal, and even gear and weapons that you can use to upgrade those Titans. The game also starts players out with a couple main quests that you can complete in any order, and there's going to be different options and outcomes depending on what players do. Some of these options could be simple choices, while others could involve skill checks. And completing those main quests will also open up the door to completing other main quests as part of the overall narrative, but you'll also be discovering smaller quests and side quests as you just move about the game. And of course, as players are completing these many quests, you're eventually going to be coming face to face with one of these deadly primordials. And when combat occurs in this game, you're going to be moving over to the combat board and then alternating turns with the primordial. On the primordial's turn, they're going to be resolving an AI card, which is going to dictate their movement, any attacks, or special effects that they might perform. Then it's going to move on to the player's turn, where they're going to be activating their Titans and doing similar things, moving, attacking, and performing special abilities. But like I said, these primordials and Titans are massive, so don't expect to just be fighting them in an open, empty space. There's going to be a ton of temples and buildings that you'll be able to smash each other into. But the players will also have a few other things that they'll be concerned with, because you're going to be controlling your rage, your danger, and your fate, because combat is going to be resolved through dice rolling and dice mitigation. You're going to be using your fate in order to issue rerolls and try to manipulate the dice in your favor. Having a higher rage is generally a good thing because it means you're going to have some more powerful attacks, but if your rage gets above a certain threshold, that's going to start having some negative consequences on your Titans and possibly your characters. Of course, danger is something that you'll want to keep as low as possible, but when you're going up against giant primordial beasts, that is sometimes easier said than done. But luckily, this is a cooperative game, so the other players might be able to help you out and try and distract the opponent while you try and get yourself under control. And like I said, the original game focused more on global cataclysmic events, while these new expansions are going to be focusing more on regional conflicts. But something that is really cool and different about these new expansions is that there's actually going to be 4 of them, with the core one being summer. And each of these is going to be offering new regions that all connect together, because these expansions are going to offer a true open world experience. And the more of these expansions that you have, the more of the world you'll be able to piece together. And with each of the expansions being associated with a different season, you're going to be experiencing different primordials and gear and titans that are related to those elements. And another really interesting concept that these expansions introduced is done through the introduction of the titan known as Herakles. And Herakles is kind of known as the father of all titans, and anyone who is a descendant of Herakles can actually transform between a human form and a titan form. This means that you'll be able to play as characters that are actually able to transform into titans themselves. The expansion's also going to be adding a bunch of new layers to the adventure deck, which in the original game added a bunch of events as you explored the world, but in the expansions, these adventures will be specific to the elements of the region. There's also going to be a few different categories of these different adventure cards that could also relate to the terrain or give you different opportunities for traversing the world. So if all that sounds interesting to you and you're willing to make the investment, or if you're just interested to learn more or just look at all the crazy cool miniatures, I do have a link to the campaign in the description below. And if you do want to know more, there are a ton of other great content creators putting content out for this in much more detail that you can go ahead and watch right now. Just a few that I would recommend is Wait Your Turn. Jordan's been putting out a ton of excellent content ever since the original game was announced years and years ago. He's been covering all the updates, going into all the nitty-gritty details, and letting you know everything about the game that you could possibly want to know. And now that he's been able to actually play the game, in one of his more recent videos, he did go as far to say that the game has exceeded his expectations. But keep in mind that this is a game that he's been super excited about ever since it was announced, so this is definitely a game that tailors to his tastes, so there might be a little bit of bias there, but if your tastes align with his, then I think you can have a lot of confidence that this is a game that you would love as well. I haven't played the game myself to have too much of an opinion, but I did back the original campaign and I did go all in, and I will say that they exceeded my expectations in terms of their delivery and keeping backers updated. And I really liked how they delivered it in a way where they gave you the first half of the content in the proper order so that you had everything to experience the entire first half of the game, and then they delivered the following expansions in second half so that you could actually start the main game without missing anything that you needed for that portion, and then play the second half once it was ready to be manufactured and delivered to backers. I don't think I could be any happier with their execution and how well they're able to keep backers updated with constant posts and updates on their progress. And it's no surprise, with all of that being said, that this one is also our Discord pick of the week. But if you're interested in a few different opinions of this game, Quackalope is also putting out a series where they're going to be playing through the campaign and giving you updates on each of their sessions. And then something that was really surprising to me because I wasn't expecting it at all, because this is definitely not the type of game that I would expect Tom Vasel to invest a lot of time into. But Tom Vasel is also doing a very similar thing, playing the game on his own. He's already played a ton of the game already with a few other people, but now he's continuing to play the game on his own, putting out weekly video updates, letting you know of his progress and his thoughts along the way. Tom is definitely someone who is not shy at giving you his honest opinion of the games that he plays, so seeing that he's investing so much into this one, I think he likes it, but feel free to check it out for yourself and hear it straight from him.